Morning, everybody. Welcome to the third in our Manage Your Money During Coronavirus webinar series. This is a free series that's being put on by Flight and the Norlands Public Libraries every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and every Thursday at 4 p.m., covering all kinds of topics related to personal finance. My name is Alexander Bigby. I am the Executive Director of Flight. We're a Norlands-based nonprofit that helps create free financial education resources for people around the city and in various communities. I'll be putting my website in the chat box so you can kind of check out any more webinars. We have a full list of webinars that'll be on there. They're going to be running through till the end of May currently, but that may continue. Today's presentation is on savings and goals. There'll be a presentation lasting between probably about 20-30 minutes, and then there'll be a Q&A session afterwards, and that usually lasts around 20 minutes. If you have any questions during the webinar, just please put them in the chat box, and then I can ask them to our presenter during the Q&A session. And if you have any comments too, please also add those. If you'd like to have me send the presentation to you by email, also please just add your email in. We upload all of the sessions on our website on a YouTube link, and we also add a PDF of all the materials as well, so you can find them on the website afterwards as well too, usually within about 24 hours. So I'm going to introduce our speaker for today, Ms. Phoebe Brown from Hope Credit Union. She's been a great speaker with our workshops in the past and is a real great resource, a lovely human being, and I'm very, very happy to introduce you to her now. So I'll let Phoebe take it from here, and I'll be sharing the presentation on my screen while she talks. So Ms. Phoebe, it's up to you, down to you. Thanks.
Well, good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing today? I hope we're all doing great. Thank you for joining this virtual financial literacy workshop on goal setting and saving. I hope that the information that I'll be sharing with you on this morning will be helpful and kind of give you a little bit of guidance through this very different we're going through, is what I like to call it, because it is truly something that none of us have ever had to experience. And being over a month into this, I'm pretty sure it's kind of stressful. So thank you, Bigby, for inviting me, and we can go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to be talking about goal setting and savings. Now, is there a big foolproof plan for this? No, in reality, it is let's say, a actual ground zero beginning for individuals. So you're at home, you're wondering what's going to happen today, tomorrow, what is this new normal going to look like? Well, now is the time for you to actually seize the moment and take time and start working on you, on your path. And that path could be financially, it could be personally, it could be things that you're dealing with in your family. It could even be maybe with the current job you're on or any jobs that are going forward. So the first process for anything that you do is called goal setting. And goal setting is truly the key. So when we look at goal setting, we first of all have to understand, what is a goal? So in the slide here, I provided you a simple definition about what is a goal. I state here it's a desired result or possible outcome that a person or a system envisions. But let me just stop right there and tell you a goal is simply a plan. It is a plan of action. That's all it is. You've heard the term that if you build it, they'll come. If you sell it, someone will buy it. Well, if you dream it, you can also accomplish it. So that's all a goal is. It's a plan. Now, when we say goal setting, my definition I give you here is the process of identifying something that you want to accomplish and establishing a measured time frame to achieve that. Now, yeah, that's a fancy definition. But all goal setting is taking that plan, putting it into motion, making it actually happen. And that is where some actually fall short. Some fall short because they're not sure about, okay, well, how do I set a goal? Does it have to be something really big, or can it be something very small? So goals can be very small and minute, or they can be very large and extravagant. For example, one day you may buy a mansion. Okay, that's a very large goal. But a small goal could be something simply as I want to finish 5 job searches today, or I want to prepare a nice meal today. All of those things are actually goals. So you'll see here that research has people with specific goals tend to save more money. They feel better about not only but the progress they're making toward the goals that they've put in place. They make appropriate decisions no matter what their income is, because income is just a component of being able to accomplish a goal. It doesn't really have to always be the forefront. So what I like to tell individuals is take a sheet of paper, a blank canvas, and just write out all the different things that you want to accomplish, all the things that you dreamed about going to London, or you may have dreamed about taking a vacation. You may have dreamed about buying a new handbag, or you may have dreamed about that you want a certain job, or you want to start your own business. Or you may have dreamed about, hey, I watch the Food Network, and I want to prepare that meal that particular chef did. Whatever it is, just write it down in no particular order. That blank canvas, don't think hard about it, just write it, because then the next process is going to help you to put it in place. Next slide, Bigby. So I'm pretty sure many of you heard about SMART goals. So let me explain to you exactly what a SMART goal is. A SMART goal is simply an acronym that is used to make your goal move. I teach a lot of homebuyer classes, and those homebuyer classes I teach, I have individuals who tell me, okay, well, why are you here? And the first thing they tell me is, I want to buy a home. Okay. I said, well, what if I told you that you didn't accomplish that? They'll look at me like I'm crazy. But then I step back and I say, well, you won't accomplish it because it's too broad. You have to make that goal move because you want to buy a house. Do you want to buy it? Where do you want to buy it? What type of house do you want to buy? So that's why we teach that you need to make the goal SMART. Make it simple. It needs to be a specific goal. And specific just means what is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? I want a new job. But what kind of job? What industry? What skills do you have? So specific. Make it very specific. It needs to be detailed. Break it into smaller steps so that it can take legs and move. Next, you want to make it measurable. Now, here's I like to call it the research area. How much will you need? Or what is it going to take for me to accomplish it? Because remember, every goal does not necessarily need a financial backing. Most may have financial backings, but not all of them will. So measurable just simply means you're going to do your research. You have to be accountable for making this decision to determine if you have the actual resources to actually meet the goal. So here is where you do your research. because that is going to determine, are you really overthinking? Are you really stepping further into something that you may not have the skills? So once you make it specific, once you make it measurable, now you have to say, okay, is it achievable? Can you accomplish this goal? Achievable just simply means that whatever the measures are that you have determined you need, can I actually achieve it with these measures? So, for example, for individuals who want to buy a home and they know they need a down payment, but right now they don't have two copper pennies to rub together, well, your achievable part needs to go back to the measure board to say, well, how much money do I need to save, right? Because once you say, okay, well, if I need to save $2,000, well, then you have to break that $2,000 into a monthly savings. So once you break it into a monthly savings, that will tell you if it's achievable. Can you really accomplish the goal? Now, realistic. Is it reality? Meaning, is something that I just dreamt up and that it can never happen? Like, for example, if I say, well, I like pink elephants and I want to be a pink elephant. Well, I'm a human, so I know I can never actually be a pink elephant. But maybe once we finish social distancing and we're able to actually have events, and maybe it's a costume party. Maybe I want to dress as a pink elephant. That's the only way that would be reality. So you have to make sure that the goal you're putting in place is reality. And then time-bound, timeline. When we look at time-bound, we want to know that we can reach the goal at a certain time frame. A runner never gets in a race and doesn't know where the finish line is. And that's the same thing for you. If you set actual target times and put a timeline to it, you will know whether you're reaching your goal if you're on path. For those of you that may have participated in the previous financial workshops where it talked about retirement, that is what they do. They have to project, when do you want to retire and what do you already have built up to go toward retirement to actually see if you're on target. So time-bound, time lane, or target is what that T stands for in SMART. Once you have made the goal SMART, now you can see the specific goal that you've measured out your path. You realize your path is achievable or attainable. You realize it is realistic, and now you have a time frame in it, and you can begin the course. That's all a SMART goal is. And like I said, goals can be large, they can be small. One goal you may have is every day you may feel like you're not dressing and you're just kind of lounging around the house or being a couch potato. Well, your goal may be, hey, I'm getting lazy. I don't want to be lazy anymore. So you have to determine what your day is going to look like, and you have to make it specific, make it measurable, make it achievable, make it realistic, and then put a time frame to it. Next slide, Nikki. So here, when we look at the goals, I give you an example here. Before this pandemic started, with the line of work that I do as the financial inclusion officer with Hope Credit Union, I was always on the go, constantly going. And so there were many days and nights I was actually worn out and tired. So one of my goals may have been time to relax. Well, the only problem is when I get home, it wasn't easy for me to relax. The reason why is because there's more than me here in the home. The phone is constantly ringing. So there was things that was always getting in the way. So that's what I mean, something about time to relax. It's too broad. What is relaxation to me, or what is it to you? Because what it is to me may be different than it is for you. So I give you an example of a SMART goal. So my thing is about time to relax. It's about getting away. So, hey, what better way to get away than going to Disney World, right? The greatest place on earth where we can all return to being a kid again. So I use the example of take a trip to Disney World. Now that's specific. It's a specific place in a specific area. Well, then I had to take that goal and I had to measure it out. So I had to determine, okay, well, how much hotel costs is going to be, or do I have friends or relatives there? Do I have to rent a car? How much are the tickets to Disney World? That's what I mean about the research. I had to research the cost. So in the research, when this study was done, I said, okay, it was going to take about $3,600 to take a trip to Disney World. So now I had it specific, and I have it measured out as to how much this trip will afford, that it's going to afford me to actually go. So now I had to look at achieving the goal. I had to achieve saving $3,600 if I didn't have it already saved up. So I had to ask myself, well, can I save this certain amount? All right, so I broke it down to see how fast can I get to the $3,600 based on the income that was coming in. So I determined, okay, I can save $200 a month. So now it's smart, now it's measurable, and now I have it achievable, saying that I can save $200 a month for the trip to Disney World. Now I needed to make it real, because when I looked at the budget, I see that my ability to save some money actually works. It doesn't put me in a bind. It doesn't put me in a hole. It is making the trip go out much further than I wanted it to. But hey, Disney World's going to be there. I can still enjoy that time by not actually sinking myself in debt, getting loans, and being in a bind. So my time frame for coming up with the $3,600 based on the day to set the goal was simply at the 18 months, that it will take me 18 months to come up with the $3,600. So instant gratification didn't work here. I did have to delay it. So how does a SMART goal read after I did the steps? Simply this simple. I will save $200 a month to take a trip to Disney World in 18 months. It's specific, it's measurable. I know I can achieve it based on the time that I set the goal. It is realistic based on my calculations, and now I have a time frame to it. Yes, the totals could change by then, but I'm starting down the path. I'm now in. So remember, when you're setting goals and you're trying to put things in place, you need to focus on your needs and wants. There are things that we need at this time, but there are things in our lives that we want. So I'm not saying don't live. I'm just saying live responsibly. So a majority of us may have received the stimulus money, or you may be getting stimulus money in. You want to be sure that you use that money wisely. In the work that I do, I've been talking with a lot of our members and clients, and they're wondering, okay, well, what do I do? Because I have bills that are due. I have things that I want to get as well. You have to look at the realistic aspect to say, okay, what is more pressing? Is buying a new outfit really more pressing? No, it's probably taking care of your shelter and making sure you have food to eat. So you have to outweigh your needs and your wants, because it is truly to help stimulate and to help you stay the course without sinking too far. So I live in a real world, and I live in a real world with real issues and real decisions. So I understand taking a trip to Disney World is probably not on anybody's mind. That was strictly an example. But in these times right now, we know that if you're not able to pay rent right now and you're giving that grace by the parish or the city or state that you're in, you know that eventually your rent is going to come due. So you have to be sure that you use those monies properly and wisely. Think before you leap is how I like to say it. If you take a moment, take a breath before you spend, you normally can talk yourself out of it. So when you're looking at goals, you'll see at the bottom, we talk about goals here where we say that they can be short-term, they can be mid-term, or they can be long-term. A short-term goal is anything that you can accomplish today to 2 years. That's right, a day to 2 years is considered a short-term goal. A midterm goal would be anything at the end of those 2 years to about 5 years. That would be a midterm goal. And then a long-term goal would be anything that takes place at the end of the 5 years to accomplish. And notice it says from 5 years or more. So notice I never said on that sheet of paper when you wrote down all your goals, I never said take something off saying it wasn't. It may just not be in the short term or midterm. It may just fall into 5 years or more, but it doesn't mean that you cannot accomplish it. Next slide, baby. So understand when you're setting your goals that there are going to be things that you cannot control. Right now, we cannot control COVID-19. We can't control this. We're trusting the healthcare systems and the many doctors and agencies and our government that is working on this to actually think for us in this process. Because even though we all want to get back to work and get out and be back to normal and be among everyone, we know that it could be putting us in jeopardy. So we have to think outside the box and realize there's stuff I can't control and stuff I can control. And I give you 2 examples. Stuff I can't control, color of my skin. I can't change that. I am who I am. But stuff I can control, I can control my attitude. I can control my attitude and my outlook as to how I'm looking at the situation. Here in New Orleans, our mayor has extended it to May 15th. In other parishes, they are starting to kind of relax the rules. But I look at both situations and I say, you know, if we get out and we move too fast, we'll still have more people coming up with the virus and possibly passing away. So we have to be able to stay in control of the things we can and accept the things that we can't, because that's going to help us play into our goals. Notice in the stuff I can control, how I use my time. Take this time while you're at home, while you're social distancing, while we're going through this pandemic, and get your goals in place. That way you can come out the gate running and you can get it accomplished. Sometimes I know it's hard because this whole thing can play a mental game with you, but pull yourselves up by the bootstraps. Write down your plan. Spend time with you and your family and include them in your goals as well. But I also say that if there's things you're trying to create and things you're trying to start, don't always share your goals with family and friends, because they may talk you out of what you're trying to do when all along you were on the right path to begin with. Next slide, baby. So here's the thing. Save, save, save. I heard yesterday from USA Today and Forbes that right now a lot of people are saving. Savings has increased by, I think they 31%. And it's probably that way because we're not out in the mall shopping. But hey, needless to say, it's good. Don't break that trend. Try to save as much as you can, because the reality check is that no, money does not grow on trees. However, it can grow if you know what to do to make it grow. Just like with the stimulus package, we thank the government for what they did. The federal government stepped up and they tried to help us as best they could at this moment, but understand that that money still has to be paid back. So it's just like you. If you're using credit cards or if you're using other means at trying to sustain your living, understand that those things will have to be paid back. But if you can save, just think about it. If you can save at least 10% of whatever you have coming in right now, that is a start. That is a beginning. That is to help you to give some type of cushion. Because saving money is just simply setting it aside today for future use, not putting it in the bank or putting it on the mattress, and then every time you need something, you run and you take from it. That's just called holding. So understand that trying to save something now, we know is very difficult because we're not sure what tomorrow is going to hold. But in this process, You focus on the present. This is the gift that is given to you to look at today, because your goals can change tomorrow, because we live in a real world with real problems and real issues. But understand you have to start somewhere, because if you start there and you visually look at what you're doing, it's going to help you to progress. So people that save money, they save it for many reasons. One you'll see I have is unexpected expenses and emergencies. This right now is unexpected, and truly it is emergencies. You may be depleting your savings right now. We hope that that is not the case, but maybe you are. It's time to maybe then look at this, say, okay, am I sitting around really waiting on my job, or can I do something to generate some additional income? You see a lot of people jumped into the game and start making. They had sewing machines that they had never used. One of my dear friends, her mother was a modiste. She sewed for the Carnival cruise and the different Carnival balls. Well, she knows how to sew, but she didn't know how to use the sewing machine. So I had to give her a little tutorial over the phone on what to do. But she jumped into the game making masks. You know, she's not price gouging. She is donating them, but she also has some that she sells for, you know, a very small fee. So if that's the way to help generate money, that's good. But keep in mind, don't price gouge, because you can get yourself in a little horrible situation if you do that. But you also see that people do save for big ticket items and personal goals, like college, a car, new television, and then, of course, those other things like clothing, shoes, etc. But start now planning for retirement, because retirement is the key for you not to have to stand and work till you're 80 years old unless you choose to. So what are some of the benefits of a savings plan? First of all, savings helps you build a personal safety net. So if you happen to have to go to the grocery store and you're not working, you could use your savings, because food is considered a necessity, for rent, etc., because you have food, shelter, and clothing. Those are things that are considered necessities. So any of you that went through Katrina, you understand what I mean about clothing, because we left here only with 3 days of clothing, and we needed clothing to carry us through. But not just sitting online, but a great deal is going on and we want to buy it. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about those actual needs. Then you can have a peace of mind knowing you have a little set aside for the unexpected or the emergencies. Having that safety net to say, okay, well, I'm okay right now. I can project that I can make it 3 months without depleting, but it helps you to have a peace of mind and have an ease about the situation. And as the amounts add up, you move closer to reaching your goals. That's a benefit, because just like I talked about that trip, I'm pretty sure when it's all over with, even though we've been sitting at home and we want to get back to work, we're going to overdo it and we're going to need to take a vacation again. You'll save money by avoiding late fees, interest charges, and other costs related to borrowing money. So what I mean here is you won't have to finance so much. You won't have to wait to try to pay your bill on the exact due date. If it's due on the 1st, you're rushing in trying to pay it on the 1st. You'll have an ease about now getting your bill paid. You actually pay it ahead of time. But if it's due on the 1st, you probably have it paid by the 25th or the 26th. And you probably won't even have to check your bank account as much. Next slide, Phoebe. So a great place to start is, number one, if your situation, you have not opened a bank account, consider a credit union or a bank, but get an account open. You see the importance of having that done, because if you had a bank account, you filed your taxes, your stimulus payment got directly deposited. Now, if you don't, start working toward that, because that's going to help you put your money, first of all, in a safe, insured place. So if you haven't been saving at all, even before the pandemic, you've just kind of been making ends meet, I challenge you to consider taking advantage of the 52-week money challenge. Now, what is the 52-week money challenge? It's simple. It's 52 weeks in a year. And each week you're going to save, starting with the first week, $1. By the end of the 52 weeks, you will have saved $1,378. It's called sacrifice, putting your willpower into it, looking at what you're spending and making adjustments. So when you go to the next slide, Bigby, you'll see how it breaks down. This is what the 52-week money challenge looks like. The weeks is 1 through 52, and the amounts are the ones you see in yellow is what you're going to save. So the first week, you put $1 away. The second week, you put 2. Third week, you put 3. 4. You will go all the way down to 52 weeks. So by the time you reach the 52 weeks, you will put $52 away. Each week, that is building up as you see. The first week, when you put the 1, and the next week you put the 2, now you got $3 saved, so on and so forth. So as you progress all the way to the 52 weeks, you will see you will have saved $1,378. Now, this is what I tell people that I teach to. Maybe your income does not allow you to go to 52 weeks. I get it. I understand. But start somewhere. Start, if it only means that you can go to 1 to 10, go to 1 to 10 and then start over, all the way till it's back to the 52 weeks. You will not have saved the $1,378, but you will have saved something, because 0 doesn't add up to $1,378 unless you try. So something is better than nothing. The golden rule for savings is, to start, you should be saving 10% of your take-home pay. Right now, you may not be taking home anything. You may only be trying to get it, whatever the unemployment is or whatever your paycheck is, and you're trying to stay afloat. Maybe you don't even have that coming in right now, because we know that there's been some issues with unemployment. But once it comes in, don't get overly excited and just think it's free money to spend. Use it wisely. Sit down, take that sheet of paper, think about what's important, think about the needs, and then later focus on the wants. But be sure you stay on the course to build your wealth, because this is the time. I know when Katrina happened, some people, they progressed well during the process, and even after they came out on top. Some, they didn't do too well. That doesn't have to be you. Here are those struggles because of hurricanes, so we can bounce back from this. You just need the simple tools to do it, and it's about spending time with yourself and thinking through your process. So with this information that I've shared with you today, I tried to cover as much as I could to leave time for questions or even comments. If you want to reach out to me, I am the Financial Inclusion Officer with Hope Credit Union. Right now, the best way to reach me is definitely by email, which is my name, P as in Paul, HOEBE, .Brown at HOPECU, that's HopeCreditUnion.org, because that phone number that is listed, that is the office number, and I'm working remotely from home right now. So the best way to reach me is actually through that email. So if we have any questions or comments, I can take those now if you would like, Phoebe. I think you're still muted, Biggie.
Sorry about that. Just wanted to say, firstly, thank you very much, Phoebe, for sharing your time and your wealth of knowledge on this beautiful sunny day. I'll kick it off with a question, because I'm always interested to hear things. So, when it comes to beginning the savings process, do you think it's a good idea to create, separate bank accounts for your savings, or is that the best way to start?
I think that is the best way to start. The reason why I say that is one thing that I kind of am an advocate about when it comes to bank accounts, and especially working in the financial industry. You really would like to make savings a little less, how do you say, accessible. So savings in a checking account is like going on a diet at a buffet. You're going to be tempted to use it. You're going to be tempted to use what you're trying to save in that checking. So I would suggest you open a separate savings that is not easily accessible, because it will help you to be able to do just what you're saying, save, and not actually constantly pull from those monies.
Okay, thank you very much. I got a question here. Should I focus on paying off debt before I put more of my money into savings?
Now, that is a kind of broad question. The reason is because I'm not sure what your debt is. So this is what you have to ask yourself. The debt that I'm paying off, like, for example, if it's a credit card, am I going to stop using it, or am I going to continue to use it during this time? If you're going to pay it out and not use it because you have that willpower not to use it, then by all means go ahead, because that will be less money that you will have coming out with any future money coming in. Now, if you're trying to pay down debt, meaning that it's not going to pay it out, and you're trying to throw a large sum at it, but money coming in, I wouldn't suggest that you do that, because you could be using monies that can be used for other things to help you to build wealth. So really you have to focus on your debt, just like I suggested that you take that sheet of paper and write down your goals. Take another sheet of paper and write down your debts, so you can actually look at what is your debt load, what is the interest, do I have any late fees or anything like that. If you have late fees and over limit fees or things of that nature, you may want to catch it up if it's not going to put you in a bind. So those are the things I would say ask yourself first. If I take this money, is it going to pay it out and I'm going to refrain from using it? Or do I not really have the willpower not to use this card? So maybe I should just continue to pay on it above the minimum, because, the minimum is their money maker. So you do want to pay more than the minimum. But if your focus is to get out of debt, you want to refrain from using it.
Great. Thank you very much. I've got a question here. What is the best way to grow money for retirement?
The best way to grow money for retirement is to get with a planner at a wonderful agency that has those retirement accounts. They will sit down with you. They will actually do the projections, see where you are, where you want to be, how fast you want to get there, and then they're going to give you ideas on how to invest, either in mutual funds, IRAs, Roth IRAs, etc. So that is my best suggestion, for you to get with a financial planner who deals with accounts, and they can give you the best guidance. I believe the last 3 classes or 2 classes, there was a wonderful financial planner with MetLife. So look around, shop around, or you can actually have that conversation with a financial planner. Normally, it doesn't cost anything to begin to do that. So that is what I would suggest. And of course, if you're working and your company that you're employed with offers a 401k, you definitely want to look and see if they do a match, because if they do a match, that is an excellent way to build wealth. Because what you put in, if they're going to do a 4-to-1 match, they're going to match what they're putting in 4-to-1. Or if you're putting in 2%, and they're going to say they're going to match it by 2, that's free money. So that's a great way to actually start to build wealth for retirement.
Great. And I put in the chat box Phoebe's email address and my email address. If anyone's interested in speaking to a financial planner, both Phoebe and I can recommend lots of folks. Last week, we did have somebody speaking who is a financial planner and very, very good at what they do. And they can give you free, impartial advice and help you really set those retirement planning goals. Got another question here for you, Phoebe. Do you recommend getting a loan to pay off the credit card debt?
No. I know that probably sounds harsh because I work for a credit union, so don't tell anybody that. But to be honest with you, if where you're having difficulty repaying, the terms of repayment for loans are much more strenuous than it is for a credit card. Now, there are two types of people. Some individuals will do a debt consolidation loan to pay off all their debt. And that works for a certain type of people. But I am not a big advocate because really all you're doing is swapping money. You're swapping one from revolving now, actually, now you're putting it into an actual loan product, which has a little bit more stringent guidelines to repay. So I would say really look at your financial situation and determine if that is really a need. Because most of the times if you're behind on revolving debt, it's hard to get a loan anyway to pay that off. So you really got to look at that. That's one of those kind of broad, kind of great questions because it's good for one person, not be good for the next. So that would be something that we can look at and probably evaluate for you.
Yeah, I think there was some concern about whether continuing with the credit card versus a loan would have an impact on their credit score. Would you be able to kind of comment on that? Or?
Well, when it comes down to loans and, of course, credit cards, the thing that whether it's going to affect your score, there's a number of components that's going to go into that. And I will be doing a class on credit, I believe, on Tuesday. But things affect the score differently because it's going to depend on your debt load. So if your credit card is one amount and then you take on a loan that's going to be greater, it could have I don't want to say negative, but it could cause the score to drop some because you're adding debt, you're adding more weight to your score, so into your amount owed. So it could affect your score.
Okay, I think that's it for the questions today. I just want to thank you, Phoebe, for giving us your time. Phoebe will be joining us again on Thursday at 4 p.m. To do a deep dive on budgeting, and then the week after on credit at 11 a.m. this time next week. So I want to thank you for everyone for joining today. Thank you for the questions. If you have any more things you want to discuss privately, please email myself or Phoebe. Email addresses are on there. It was great hearing you speak today. I always love hearing you talk, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Thursday.
Thank you so much.
All right.
And thank you for joining.
Everyone have a great day. Hopefully you'll get to enjoy a bit of that sun. And I'll see you on Thursday. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.